Welcome to Exploring Ways to Wellness. Today's episode is a bit different. I'm sitting down with my husband Gil to talk about something that's been an important part of his wellness journey: Transcendental Meditation. If you've ever been intrigued about meditation, curious about different types, or thought that meditation wasn't for you, this conversation might change your mind. Management consultant Gil shares his refreshingly honest perspective on how this simple technique has helped him navigate life's changes, from early skepticism to experiencing deeply relaxing power naps, and even finding peace on busy commuter trains. So get comfortable and let's explore the world of transcendental meditation. This week, I've got a very special guest with us on the podcast. Gil is my husband, and he's agreed to come and talk to us about transcendental meditation. So thank you for joining us, Gil.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
It's lovely to have you. I wondered if you could share for a moment a little bit about your journey with transcendental meditation. It's obviously something you introduced me to many years ago, but I'm aware that you actually started practicing it a lot longer than I've known you.
Yes. So I started practicing transcendental meditation in my early 20s. And one of my close friends in the army did some meditation. And I was a bit surprised. It didn't strike me as the kind of guy who does meditation. I didn't know really what I was thinking. Maybe you needed to be, be hippie, long hair, and smoke something. But no, he was in a sense just like me. And he said it was amazing and I should give it a go. So when I finished the army, I went and did a course to do transcendental meditation. It's probably about 5 to 10 couple of hours meetings where they introduce you to the concept as a teacher. Costs a little bit. It's not particularly expensive. And you get your mantra. And yeah, but basically that's where I got into it. And I think I clicked with it very well from the word go. So I really enjoyed the course and I enjoyed the way the meditation made me feel. It was very relaxing. But I stopped relatively quickly. I think afterwards I went on a trip where ultimately we met in Mexico. And I think during the trip, I sort of got out of habit and I have reflected on it since. And I think basically because I learned it at a time where there's very little stress actually in your life. So you're between phases, a little bit like being maybe between jobs, possibly, or after university and before you start a job. And it's a very relaxed period. There are no commitments. You can do whatever you like. And sort of the world is your oyster. So there's not that much to meditate on, if you like. It's pretty stress free. And then I think over the years, obviously stress starts to creep back in. You get more commitments, lots of exciting things, but also more things. There's more pressure basically around you. And I think at some point it got quite significant. And I think it's probably both of us having a chat about it that we think I want to go and give it a go again
Yeah.
and try the meditation again.
I think I seem to remember that when we did the course together, it was probably, we'd had the boys for a couple of years and the kind of lack of sleep, more stressed, kind of trying to juggle things like jobs and family and travel, and all of those kinds of things. As you say, there's probably kind of levels of stress we hadn't experienced in quite the same way before.
Yes, and I think one of the things, thinking about it now, is a lack of rest. I think there's a lot of younger people who want to invest a lot of effort at work, so you do long hours. And as you said, when you have a young family, you spend a lot of time with them, and actually a lot of your normal resting time is gone. And in some ways, transcendental meditation is almost made specifically for that. It's a bit of a focused rest period where you experience a very deep relaxation for a very short period of time, so about 20 minutes. And it's a bit like a power nap. I guess that's how I would think about it. And that was perfect for that time. And I only got back to it. And I guess ever since it's been a little bit touch and go. I can't say I'm doing it regularly. I am regularly trying to do it regularly. It's probably there are,
Yes.
but I am hopeful. I'll get back to doing it properly. I was tracking myself, the calendar up and put some dots against each day when I did it, just as a way of reminding me to do it. And I probably had a couple of years where I managed to do it every day, twice a day. So that's once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Yeah, but again, we got out of the habit and trying to get back to it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned kind of you need a course in order to introduce you to it, and there's mantras involved. Could you just let the listeners know a little bit more about what's involved in transcendental meditation? They may have heard of meditation before, but what makes that different and what's involved in it?
Yes. So transcendental meditation is a form of meditation where when you meditate, you sort of sit down on a comfortable chair. It doesn't need to be a meditation sofa or something. And you need to be comfortable. It's not one of those sit on the floor cross-legged with your hands out in a type of Indian meditation motion. You just sit in a comfortable chair with a nice back and you sit and relax for about 20 minutes and then you come out of it and then you're done. Now, the meditation itself, as you said, you get the mantra. The mantra, for those who don't know what it is basically a sound. I think a lot of them tend to be words in Sanskrit. I mean, transcendental meditation comes from India. And the aim is to have a sound that doesn't mean anything to you. It's just a sound
Right.
you repeat in your head. And in a sense, when you think about it, when you repeat a sound in your head that has no meaning, and it's quite relaxing. Obviously, it needs to be quite a relaxing word. And it's a bit like white noise. So it blanks your brain. Your brain basically stops thinking about work or what do you want to do that evening or what you've eaten or what you're going to eat or all of those things and just has a rest for those 20 minutes. And yeah, that power nap is very powerful. You can sometimes get, I guess, a little bit of almost an out of body experience. You're sort of so relaxed. You're almost seeing yourself from about, I don't know, a meter behind. You see the scene where you're at. It's a bit difficult to explain, but anyone that does that, well, hopefully will be able to get that sensation. And I quite like the fact that, as you said, it's a very short course. So they talk to you a little bit about the origins. I guess it's a course of conviction. They're trying to convince you to persuade you what's behind this. This isn't just, something someone dreamed. It's got some history to it. There are millions of people who do it. It's got various health benefits. They're recorded, and it's all about helping you persevere because the technique itself is that simple. There's no cost involved. You don't need to get accessories. All you need to do is sit down and relax. And actually, maybe just one more thing worth mentioning. Once you get used to it, I guess like many things, and when you do your meditation, your body knows you're meditating. You can actually do it anywhere. You can do it on a noisy public transport. So I travel to London and other places on train quite a lot. And when I was doing it regularly, I was able to just zone out the noise of the train and the motions and just be able to get into my relaxation. I can't do it now because I've stopped for a while and I need to get back in the habit. But when I could do it, it was a great way of using time that otherwise would probably not that productive.
That's amazing because I think that was one of the reasons that I dropped out of doing it was I couldn't find a quiet enough time and
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
in order to properly feel that benefit. I was so distracted every time there was the slightest noise. And I remember being just so impressed that you were able to go out in the morning and say, "Oh yeah, but I'll meditate on the train." And I was just incredibly impressed that you would be able to do something like that in that kind of environment. You mentioned that you do it twice a day, or
Yeah.
ideally you'd do it twice a day. Do you know roughly why there is the need to do it repeatedly during a day?
The the way I think about it, because it's a power nap, you come out of it full of energy, relaxed energy, not jittery energy, but full of energy. So the theory is you do it once in the morning, you have a good start to your morning, get that energy going and that calm, relaxed energy that helps you focus. And then you should do it again. It's depending on your day, but probably 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock to get that extra boost. It's not something that particular technique. There are lots of other types of meditations, but that particular technique is not something you want to do before you go to sleep because you basically have a power nap and then try and go to sleep. That's not going to work. So
Yes.
that's why it's twice a day. In the 20 minutes, you're meant to, like, you feel like almost go under. So it's probably 25 minutes overall, 3 minutes sitting down and starting to get into it. And then maybe a couple of minutes just to come out.
I did it. I was so impressed and I was like, this is amazing. But when
Yeah.
it's a change to your routine,
Yes.
it's building it into your routine so that you can kind of have it as part of your day and then truly see the benefit. Because as you said, I think the more you do it, you can kind of slip into the state quicker, can't you? And you can reach a kind of higher level
Yes.
of
Yes.
meditation.
Yeah. Relax more. And it does, at least for me, it seemed to have an immediate impact. So you relax, you've got more energy, but also a long-term impact. So at periods when I've been able to do it for, let's say, 2, 3, 4 weeks without missing a session, I do find that in general, I'm going to be more relaxed. I guess it's a bit like people who talk about breathing techniques. And if you get used to getting all that oxygen in, after a while, it makes a difference to how you feel about yourself. I mean, when it was particularly effective for me, I went through a period where I got up very early in the morning, maybe about 4 or 5, then meditate, when the whole world is silent before the cars start to go. And yeah, it's very early, but it's also, you sort of don't need to try and zone out the noise out. And then go and do some fitness. And that meant by the time I got to work, I already had a few ticks on my calendar. And it was a
Yes.
great way to start the day because I already felt I'm a step ahead rather than a step behind. That's what I'm trying to get back into. It's not easy, but I'm trying.
Yeah. And so do you find it's part of things you do for your wellness
It
or
was
it's the
ma-
key?
that's a really, really good question. It probably comes in two ways. That's how I would think about it. So one is the way I am, the way things work in my head. I sort of have a list of things that I know I want to do on a regular basis. And when I get the chance to do them, that relaxes me. It's a bit like a to-do list, daily to-do list. I guess too many years as a management consultant, I'm used to project plans, and thinking in that particular way. So when I get my ticks, that relaxes me. So that's one side of it. But separately to that, yes, I think there's definitely a point in if I am regularly doing it and I get that long-term impact, like I said, like after 2 or 3 weeks, that definitely has, yeah, a big impact. So in a sense, yes, that is one of the keys, but it's only with consistent cues. It's sort of like a power nap that you would maybe do once in a while and you'd still get the benefit from it. I think with meditation, probably the first 3 or 4 days, it's more hard work for me when I start again. It's hard work rather than relaxation. And you have to persevere through it because, again, for those who haven't done it, the way it works is you're meant to relax. So you're sitting on your comfortable chair, good strong back at the back, so you're properly relaxed, and you're sort of trying to think about nothing, but you're not repeating your mantra to yourself. You're not sort of forcing it in. And what happens in reality is at some point it almost appears, or maybe you force it, but a little bit because you've already started relaxation and you're breathing a bit more heavily. And and then the mantra comes and goes. It's really interesting. So I think the some of the courses refer to it almost like a piston, like an engine. It comes and goes, the mantra, and you'll think about it for a while, and then you'll stop and think about something else, and then it will come back. So when I start doing it, maybe for the first week, it doesn't necessarily come back that easily. And I have to remind myself, I've already done this. I know it works, and I just need to persevere through
Yeah.
it. Benefit.
I do think that that's where I went wrong with it. I didn't persevere through that stage
Yeah.
and almost assumed it wasn't working. And that's when I started to question myself, or maybe I can't do this, or have I got my mantra word correct?
Yeah.
And it's kind of putting lots of pressure on myself that I have to be
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
it the right
You're right.
way. And actually, I didn't give it a chance to just work. Speaking to you now, I really should go back and try and do it again, and that particularly because I see the results that you get from it.
Yeah.
But it was that, all these thoughts going on in my head. And as much as I'd kind of think, oh, yeah, just doubt the thought, let it go, come back to your mantra, guide your thoughts back to your mantra. Um, yeah, I just found it overwhelming that
Yeah.
trying to stop. And actually, it's almost like a muscle, I guess. You're just trying to get yourself used to doing things a certain way, and eventually your body will relax into it and say, okay, yeah, this is my time. It's only 20 minutes. Everything else will still be waiting for you at the other side. You don't need to worry about it. This
Yes.
is your time. This is your relaxation. And what do you feel after you've meditated? Because certainly from the outside, I can see a big difference in you. Not to the point that I shout at you, go meditate if things are difficult that day. But
Yeah.
um, I certainly notice when you have been doing your meditation practice
Yes.
over time. How do you feel in yourself? Is there a big difference to the way that you feel in yourself and the way that you're reacting to those around you and your
Yes.
work and family?
Yeah. I think I'm more relaxed, probably more patient when I've done it. And like I said, it's the dual effect of when I don't do it, it's a missing tick on my to-do list. So it adds stress to my day. It's one of those ironic things. When you have a wellness routine, and I guess having listened to the other episodes on your podcast, different people do different things, but there are activities you need to go and do. So if I'm not doing something that I know is good for me, then it becomes something that stresses me. Whereas once you do it, it's a positive. There's nothing in the middle.
Okay.
So yeah, because it's not like, oh, I've not done it, everything's fine. Because I know, to some extent, I know I need it because I know I feel good when I've done it, and I would like to think it has a positive impact on my environment. One of those things, if we're with people around us with a positive mindset, or patient and relaxed and open minded, then we generally have a better day. It's sort of a virtuous circle that goes around. And so, yeah, not doing it is a problem. Like I said, there were some long periods that have done it well. And then probably in the last 3 years, there were more shorter periods where I've done it and then it sort of goes away either because there's, maybe a particularly busy week at work and I'm just not getting to it. And then I get out of the habit. But I'm very serious to get back into it.
And you mentioned briefly there about people around you.
Yeah.
Have, do you find things like this come up in conversation with colleagues or friends? If you talk about the fact that you meditate, do you find there's any skepticism?
It's a good question. No, I don't think I've seen skepticism, but maybe that's just the kind of people I tend to be with. I would say, especially listening to some of the other episodes. I mean, world swimming, for example, that is a big effort. I mean, for a big benefit, I get there, but it's a big thing to do. The one thing I really like about transcendental meditation is the effort is almost nothing. It's very good for lazy people. If you haven't got, yeah, if you haven't got the energy or the drive, or you feel your day's too busy, finding twice a day to sit down for 20 minutes is like the easiest thing ever. And especially, and that's really important to remember, once you've done it a few times, noise around doesn't matter. For the first week I do it, I do try and find a time when the house is quiet, when I need to ask the kids, can you put the television down if that's on or whatever it is. And it feels a little bit guilty, for my wellness. I'm imposing on other people. But
Mhm.
once I've done it for a week or two, then I don't need that anymore. So Yeah, I think that's why I recommend it. I tend to recommend it to people I work with when the topic comes up, mainly because it's just so easy and simple. I don't know why we don't teach it in school. The benefits, even if only 20 or 30% of people would do it, or even 10%, the overall benefit would be amazing. I think there are some sort of bigger ideas behind it, something around if enough people meditate, something around positive energy. I don't remember all those details from the course. I'm doing it because it makes me feel better and more energized and refreshed and relaxed. I mean, if it has other benefits around the planet, then great. I can't measure it, or I don't know if that's real or not, but that certainly isn't a reason not to do it.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah,
definitely. So you mentioned that you would recommend it to other people, and you have mentioned it at work. That's just reminded me as well that the boys also did
they did.
a course. So it is accessible to younger children.
Yes.
I haven't asked them recently, I have to admit, whether they still use any of the techniques. But it is something that they were doing for a little while as well. And I do hope that they've managed to take something away from that.
Yeah, I think so. I've asked them, and I think they remember probably their mantras. Because obviously, if you forget it, then you really need another course or a reminder from somewhere of that sound to work with.
Mhm.
I think they remember it.
I think they do it slightly differently with children, don't they? Or is it
Yeah.
something through play?
I think the main difference is you vocalize it. So
Right.
you're
Okay.
not meant to say it out loud. But I think with children, it's easier to explain to them. They need to repeat the words and sort of get the benefit from it. But I guess it was a sort of an addition to the course we did. I don't
Mhm.
think there was any extra cost to it. And there were only a couple of sessions. But if it means they had a bit of exposure to it, and then maybe later in life, if they're at a time where there is more stress and time pressures and all, then maybe they remember it and then possibly go and do the full course and get the full benefit.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
that's the beautiful
Exposure.
thing, isn't it? Knowing that you've got something you can fall back on if you're going through those moments where there's a lot of tension and potential for stress, to know that you've got something that you can do in order to help you is really, really powerful. So, is there anything else that you've found being open to different techniques for relaxation? It's opened up a world of any other techniques that you try?
Um, what I do think it did is when we did the hypnobirthing course, it certainly helped me be very open minded about it. And again, the benefits were just, I mean, that was unbelievable. It's wellness in a particular situation.
Yeah.
I think being used to more that the fact that my brain can influence how I physically feel, which sort of sounds obvious, but actually maybe isn't, as much obvious for everyone, then it made it a lot easier for me to accept hypnobirthing, because obviously it's a technique where we both take part and they really get the most of it. So I think meditating, and even the course I did back then, and meditated only for a few months really before I stopped. I think that already left me a lot more open minded about, those types of techniques. And I'm sure if I had more opportunities, then I would be able to pursue it more likely than I would otherwise.
So, do you have any recommendations if somebody's looking into transcendental meditation? What are the best ways for people to find out more?
There's an institute. So there's an organization. I mean, it's global. There's a UK branch to it. I would imagine anyone would have a teacher within half an hour, probably where they live. Certainly in all the big cities, there'll be
Mhm.
a few, because if you started as a practitioner and you want to get involved, I mean, the organization does all sorts of retreats and I guess more advanced type courses for those who want to do it. So you can become a teacher. And the way it was when I did it both times, it was an introductory session. So that was just free. We're just having a bit of a chat about it and maybe do a little bit of something, just a, tiny bit. maybe guided meditation, bit relaxation, and then subscribe to the course, which, as I said, wasn't, at least at the time, wasn't particularly expensive. And then, yeah, within maybe 6 to 10 sessions, I'm sure you can find information online. But when you go through it, you go through a couple of theory. It's a bit like learning how to drive. So do a bit of a theory session. So they explain to you roughly how it's likely going to feel, where it came from, and they talk about the health benefits and the various research that has gone out around it. Then you go through a bit, I guess, like a short ceremony. You get your mantra, and then you do a series of guided meditation. The main point of the guided meditation day is that one of your almost concerns as a new practitioner, how will I know when the 20 minutes are finished? Because you're told not to use an alarm clock or something like that. You need to come out when you're ready.
Well, that sent my anxiety going as well. Oh, what happens if I never come out of it or I stop too early?
So, I mean, after a while, your body just get used to it. You need to close your eyes when you're doing it. I normally have my watch on me, or if I watch next to me when I meditate. And once in a while, I will open my eyes. And after a week or two, maybe three, but again, generally, you sort of know because, like I said, the mantra comes and goes. And when it goes, you'll just feel whether the 20 minutes have gone or whether you need to wait a bit longer and get back into it and then come out. But the advantage of the guided meditations, it takes that away. So the teacher will be there meditating with you. So you're both just basically quiet. And then the teacher will gently let you know when it's the time to wake up from it or to step out from it. And I did find that even more relaxing because, as you said, yeah, you don't need to worry about the 20 minutes. And there is something about meditating with other people that somehow makes the experience stronger. Can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe it's a bit like a license to relax because other people are relaxing. It's okay. Maybe it's feeling a little bit safer because I guess, when you meditate, you close your eyes. Maybe for some people, there might be a bit of a worry if somebody bursts into the room or whatever. But with a group, that was quite morsel. I've only done that during the course. I've not had a chance to do any of the 2 or 3 day retreats that they do. Maybe one day.
Yeah. I've been where there's been an experience of a group meditation, usually guided. And as you say, it is completely different to doing it on your own. And there is something I, I don't think I can quite put my finger on, but as you say, there's something quite powerful about everybody going through that experience at the same time that somehow amplifies the effect without really knowing how or why. As you said, maybe it's that kind of extra level of knowing you're being held, somebody else is in control of the environment,
Yeah.
and you're all going through this experience together. There's something quite beautiful in that.
Yes.
So I will definitely put in the show notes the link to the institute that we used for our
Yes.
course. So if anybody's interested in that, we'd highly recommend giving it a go. Is there
Y-
anything else that you'd like to talk about in terms of your experience with the transcendental meditation?
Yeah. I mean, it's more about why I think it's particularly useful for me. I think so. In my work life, there's very little routine.
Mhm.
And I imagine there are quite a few people who live like that, right? Because I'm a consultant. Depends what the project is, what the meeting is. That one day you might be working from home, get up, at a normal time, and there's no commute. And on other days, it's get up at 5, grab a train at 6, because you need to go somewhere. And I find that when I am meditating, it helps me anchor myself a little
Yes.
bit, and I don't end up the week so exhausted with the travel. So I think, I mean, like I said, it's such a simple thing. It would benefit anyone. But I think certainly if you have lots of pressure, it doesn't have to be even stress, but lots of pressure at work, long days, long meetings, and all that sort of stuff, that that helps you. It helps you get into the days. Like I said, I've got some of my ticks in the morning, tick boxes, and I start the day happier. But also, if I meditate on the train on the way back, I get home a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
That again will have a big benefit because if you come home relaxed, you're more likely to have a relaxing evening than if you come still with all of the energy and sometimes stress or frustrations of work that come in with you. So I think, again, it's a useful tool, particularly for my career and, and my way of living.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really powerful message to end on. Thank you. I can definitely see the benefit, as I say, when you are using transcendental meditation, and really should join you more often to do exactly that. So thank you so much for joining us today, Gil. I've really enjoyed our conversation and hope that some people will be inspired from this episode and give it a go themselves. Thank you for joining us for this intimate look at transcendental meditation. A huge thank you to Gil for sharing his experiences so openly and honestly. If you're interested in learning more about it, I've put some links in the show notes to get you started. Remember, wellness looks different for everyone. It's about finding what works for you, even if that is on a busy commuter train to London. Until next time, I'm Sarah, and remember, there's many paths to wellness, and sometimes they start with just sitting still.